All right, number 5 on our list, the final one for just looking at AAV, and that's Michael Bunting, the former Toronto Maple Leaf. We mentioned him a few minutes ago. Tyler Bertuzzi takes his spot in Toronto. Bunting is off to the other division in the Eastern Conference. He's in the Metro now with the Carolina Hurricanes. It's a 3-year deal with an AAV of $4.5 million. So Bunting to Carolina. Case, what do we think?
This is another C+ for me. Although I think he fits the system of Carolina, I don't really think they need any more of this. I think that they were better off maybe trying to beat the Devils to a Tyler Toffoli or someone who can put the puck in the net, more consistently. I think that some of the numbers that Bunting's put up in the last 2 years are a product of playing with two of the best players in the world. So, I think that, like I said, Bertuzzi's a much better player. $4.5 million for Bunting. I don't know what type of numbers he's going to put up, and I also think that he became a little bit of a liability in the playoffs with some of the boneheadery going on. So, I think that this team is going to be in a cap nightmare in 2 years. So the $4.5 million in year 3 is going to look a little scary for them, for kind of a middle 6, maybe third line guy for them. So I don't love it at a C+, but I don't hate it because they are going for the cup this year. So,
yeah, I went a bit of a different direction with this one. I thought this was an A- for me, only because I think that is kind of exactly what Carolina needs in their lineup. Not the boneheadedness that goes on when he's out there on the ice, but just a little bit more sandpaper, if you will, if you want to talk like a boomer about the Maple Leafs. Like, that's a guy who brings a bit of that. And I truly and honestly think if he's not playing for the Maple Leafs, he will not be in the box as much. Like, it's just one of those things. You're playing on the biggest stage in some of the most watched games. Like, refs are going to call you, especially when you build a reputation for diving and being a pest, etc. So I do really like the fit in Carolina. I honestly kind of wish the Leafs paid him that much money, or at least 3x4. I think he is going to be worth it on a 3-year deal when the cap goes up, over the next 2 years, a total of hopefully between $8 and $9 million. I just think it made a lot of sense for Carolina, who kind of got pushed around in the playoffs, not going to lie. So I gave that one an A-.
Yeah, I'll give this one a B-, actually, for Bunting to Carolina. I just think that it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in to this lineup and what the offense is going to be like, because this is not a knock against Rod Brind'Amour as a coach, but I feel like we've talked about this before on this podcast. I do feel like the system, the way that they play, it does kind of take away from the offense a little bit from their big dogs like Svechnikov and Aho, and the list goes on. So it'll be interesting to see how Bunting fits into that and what kind of numbers he can put up. But I mean, I could see this working out really well at the same time. He is a hard-nosed player and could be a great fit under Rod Brind'Amour. I just wonder what kind of numbers he's going to put up playing in that system that I think does take a little bit of the offense away. So I'll give this a B-.
Well, and I don't think it would shock anyone if his production dropped even significantly. Like, he will not be a 60-point player in Carolina, but if he puts up 40 points and, can work the forecheck and get it to the guys on the top 2 lines, like, I don't have a problem with that, and brings a different element than a lot of players on that Carolina team bring. Like they've got a guy like Martinook who plays hard, but like, in terms of guys who score goals, like, I don't think they have many players who bring both elements. So I thought it was a good fit, but clearly, we're all over the board here. We've got A's, B's, and C's. So maybe that means we'll just have to wait and see and see what it looks like after 3 years.
No, that's good. We've got some different grades all across the board here. Another contract that's going to be a problem for them, we think, in a couple of years, is that Kotkaniemi deal, you would have to think. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Carolina, but they're going for it, as they should, because I think they're close.